What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to some Dungeon Defenders 2 in another defense spotlight. I use this one all the time, however, it has been quite a while since I've done an update, and that is to the Frostbane Fissures. Now, I did make some changes to the build since my last Frostbane Fissures video, and a big part of that, of course, is with the Frosty Boom and the boom servos changing. Now, as far as frost lanes go, we all know there's one big, huge pain in the butt in every frost lane, and that is frost orcs. I think most people would agree, if you can kill the frost orcs, you're gonna burn the rest of the lane. Now, another thing to keep in mind right out of the gates is frost mobs do take increased damage from fire. So anytime you do have a frost lane in Onslaught, you always want to make sure to use lots of fire on that particular lane to get it completely squared away. Now, I do use the Fissures quite commonly. As everyone knows, I'm a huge fan of traps, R's, and nodes, so Fissures are right along into that category and allows me to build the way I want to build, yet still have a defense that is specifically designed for killing these single mobs. So let's go ahead and hop on in and take a look at the Fissures. Now, before we jump in, know that there really are two counters for Frost Orcs. The fire damage is a given. Every Frost lane you're going to have fire damage on it. The two counters I'm referring to with their AoE freeze is you can either outrange the freeze or you can overcap your rate to help negate the freeze. The freeze does reduce the attack rate of towers, so if you go way past the speed cap, it's not going to reduce it down far enough, in a lot of cases, to where you even notice the effect is taking place. Now, I personally did choose to outrange the Frost Orcs, as that works out great for me. I know that the defense rate also works out great for others, so use either or defense rate or defense range on your relic. Now, it's kind of a no-brainer, anti-frost. You're going to get the anti-frost on there, and we want to take advantage of anti-stacking. What I mean by this, of course, anti-mods stack in a multiplicative fashion, not in additive fashion, meaning that if a frost orc comes out, the anti-frost servo is going to make frost orcs take 160% normal damage. Well, the anti-orc servo that I have on top of it is going to be 160% of the previous 160%. So these anti-mods do stack up nicely, and every single defense that you can get at least two of them on is really going to benefit you greatly. Now, a lot of people are going to ask, why anti-orc when anti-melee? And anti-melee really is a better mod for this situation, as it is also going to apply to the little melee gobus. However, we've got anti-orc mods, we got anti-melee mods, and we are all victims of RNG. Myself is no different, and at the time of building this particular relic, I didn't have any anti-melees to throw in here, so I used an anti-orc, and it's working good enough, to be honest, where I haven't bothered changing it up. So I'm using anti-frost, anti-orc, and defense range. Now, using the trifecta for shards, deadly strikes, destruction, and defense rate. Now, a gilded defense rate, of course, is going to get the Fissures down to the speed cap. Destruction is kind of a no-brainer. We want that on everything. If you're using your Fissures regularly, or if you're very concerned about a particular frost lane, by all means, swap that out for mass destruction and get even more power on it. And then once again, I'm trying to outrange the orcs, so I'm going with deadly strikes as well. Now, double stacking range through the defense range servo and then through the deadly strikes shard itself is giving me real nice range on my Fissures. Now, if we take a look at the stat, we see that, where is our range? 2129. It's got really nice range on it, and it more than outranges any frost orcs I come into contact with right at the moment. So double stacking that range to outrange any frost orcs that would give me any problems. Now, as far as Ascension goes, you'd follow basic builder Ascension. So in the utility category, first things first, defense crit chance, then go defense crit damage, and then go right into the Fissure range gambit. In the defense category, you only have two choices. Always first go defense speed, and then go right into the Fissure of Embermount damage to jack that damage up just a bit. Fissures of Embermount in a whole are a very solid defense with really only two downsides to them. First off, they won't hit flyers, so you can't use them like auras. You can't put them in a lane to cover ground and flyers, as they're just not going to hit the flyers. In addition to that, of course, we know it puts that kind of irritating molten power labels all over the map. So you're going to have that icon to stare at. To me, I don't really even think about it. However, I do know it bothers some folks. However, that's really the only downside that I can find to using the Fissures. Now, there's lots of really solid builds you can use with Fissures. We all know that every single map in the game, if you averaged out the mana or defense units available evenly, it's going to come out to 180. It's never going to drop below 180. Every single map, if you can build a lane for 180 DU, you've got a really strong lane. So this is the go-to build I really use for Fissures. So I'm going to stack 4 Fissures together, about like that. I'm going to throw a boost aura right in the middle of all of it. I usually tend to go slightly forward on the boost aura because I do like using boosted grasp. So if the bads were coming from this way, I would have the boost aura slightly forward towards them. And then that leaves me area right in the back to throw a lightning strike aura with destructive pylon on it. Now the destructive pylon has got about 1,000 range units, so as you see, it's hitting all 4 Fissures, and we are easily boosting all 4 of them. And this means that the lava damage is going up to 409,000 or 1.38 million damage per second as far as tooltip DPS. Now remember, this doesn't include the anti-mods. This doesn't include the double damage versus frost enemies from the Fissures naturally being fire. So this right here is 180 DU power combo. We've got a little bit of CC through the boost aura, and then we are just straight up jacking everything else up. Now, another interesting thing about this is if you have a Psy Frost lane, although this particular Fissure is mainly benefiting against the frost enemies, if it's a Psy Frost lane, you've got huge range, plus you've got an anti-orc mod on there for a little increased damage on the cyborgs, meaning that you're still going to burn through cyborgs on a Psy Frost lane. So this is the go-to build that I use on really every flavor of frost lane there is out there. This works absolutely fantastic. Of course, you can make various variations. If, say, you want even more crowd control, you could take out a couple of the Fissures and go with, say, a weapon manufacturer node. Something like that is going to give you even more crowd control. Or if you wanted to even take the proton route, you've got 60 DU to work with, which is pretty darn nice as far as proton beams go. So you could even go the proton beam route and then save that 20 DU for another lane if you chose to. However, I'm finding that stacking up just those anti-mods, I'm having a real easy time burning through frost mobs with this particular setup that I use right here. So let me know down in the comments below if you have any questions at all about Frostbane Fissures or the Fissure in general. Now, I am a big monk fan, as all of you know, so I use flame auras as my general use lane clear. However, the Fissure is very, very strong, and situationally can be almost best in slot, or really good in slot, against any large pack of frost orcs. So get your Fissures in gear. Remember, specializing defenses is the strongest thing you can do about a particular enemy. This particular defense is without a doubt specialized against the Frosties. So that will do it for today. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to click that like button and please subscribe to the channel. I will be back soon with more Dungeon Defenders 2. If there's any hero spotlights you would like to see, whether it be heroes or defenses, make sure to let me know down below, as I do plan on working through everything, and I want to get through all the defenses and heroes as soon as I can, with, obviously I've got to find all those mods. However, thank you all so much once again, and I will see ya next time around. Take it easy.